if you have these marked, like sometimes we add questions at the last minute and we don't actually have the answers marked, so we have to mark them as we go, like this one. So x coordinate goes from left to right, so I'm going to right click on the open-ended and mark that response correct. Okay, so right click, and these things will come up that you can ask as we go. So here is our portfolio. And this is again, this is where you have to build the classroom atmosphere. And if you can't, and if it's hard and you don't, and the kids don't feel comfortable with their grades being shown, then don't go to the portfolio. Okay, then they'll have to get their grades however you decide to distribute grades. But in our class, we all know that we're learning. There are days that this is what we shoot for. This is a good way to build that in that classroom structure. Is here the class average is 82%. So we're always, that's how we get our goals. Hey, if we as a class, if we get 85% or if we get 70%, then we get to go to the bathroom as a class. So everybody is trying to so, everybody is trying to get a good grade so that they can get to that bathroom, and kind of that peer pressure for everybody to do their best is there too. So now let's talk about how we can do this correctly. Now there's another short little video. Let me see how we're doing on time, because this is going to lead into the activity that we're going to make, and I tried to do an easy one so that we don't run out of time. Okay, so I am kind of the type that we don't want to, if the kids see you mess up, then they know it's okay to mess up as well. So a lot of times I mess up, all right, and I just let them know that we're gonna all mess up.
Welcome to the adventure of Slope Dude. Meet Slope.
This I let them know this video is a little bit corny, so the purpose of this video, the purpose of the first video was to see the end picture, like at the end of the unit. That's the hardest part. Now we're starting at the base, like the very bottom of this lesson. So before we can write an equation, we have to be able to identify the graph. We have to be able to identify what kind of slope is there. So this is what Slope Dude is going to teach us.
Ski. We are going to follow him, and he'll teach us some important aspects of slope.
Okay, if you'll go ahead and draw this picture on your paper. Just, you don't have to, you can draw the dude if you want to, but we just really need the mountain. Okay, so draw that mountain.
As a mathematician, I just see straight.
And as they go through, I want you to mark your mountain the way, with the words that it says.
This is the course of Slope. Again, what he says will teach us about slope. You need to remember that Slope Dude always skis toward the right or eastward. When he starts out, he's going uphill. It's hard work. He says puff, puff, positive as he goes up the mountainside. Puff, puff, positive. Puff, puff, positive. Puff, puff, positive. Now he's at the top. It was puff, puff, positive all the way up the mountain. But now he can look forward to the downhill. On the way down the mountain, he says, nice, negative. Nice, negative. And now, after the downhill, he's in for the hardest part of the ski run, the long, flat part. He says, this is zero fun. This is zero fun. This is zero fun. This is zero fun. And as he finishes the flat part, he doesn't see well ahead, and all of a sudden, he comes to the edge of a cliff. It's straight down. So frightened is he that he says the worst curse word possible in math and in algebra. Undefined! This has been the Adventure Slope Dude. Remember always what he said during a ski trip.
Here's another way for you to
Up the
make
hill
sure
or up
you
the slope,
identified
he
your
said, puff, puff,
slopes
positive.
correctly.
On his downhill run, he said nice, negative. On the long flat part of the course, he said this is zero fun. And finally, when he went over the vertical cliff and went straight down, he yelled the worst curse word of math and algebra. Undefined.
All right. So the very first activity, and this is where you are going to come up with a question, and you're going to come up here and you are going to create a question for yourself about this activity. So what we would do as a class is they would work in groups or they would work in partners with these cards, and you would have them sort them in whether the slopes of these lines are positive, negative, zero, or undefined. So I just take about 1 minute to do that.
To do what?
As a group, sort the graphs out in positive, negative, zero, or undefined.
What do we think this is? That's what it is. There's some negative, are we sure? Positive. A little tricky.
If you don't put it down.
That's right. What is that?
Undefined. Negative.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's not what I use these for. So, what was this one?
Negative.
All right. So what you need to do as a group is come up with 3 questions that you can ask. Let's do one question. Have one question to be true, false. Come up with a true, false question. Come up with a multiple choice, A, B, C, or D. And come up with one that is open-ended. Yeah. As out of these cards. And you want me to, let's do one together so we can, we can do.
I was gonna do
Okay, so
open-ended,
when I'm coming up with questions, I've got to think about how they are going to ask this question as a test question, or that's what we're building up to. I knew I was going to do that. That's what we're building up to eventually. Is it a test question worthy? Okay. So I'm going to insert a question. Then it asks me, what kind of question do you want to insert? Do you want to multiple choice, true, false, yes, no, always, sometimes, never, agree or disagree? If you want it open-ended, you're gonna use explanation. Text match works sometimes, but you still have to go through and make sure, like if someone put 3X and they capitalized their X and you didn't capitalize your X, then they're the same answer, but it won't mark it. So you'll still have to kind of mark it. So either one of those works, and then so on. But right now we're only gonna kind of use that first section there. So I have these questions. I can say, which of the following has a negative slope? So I know that I is positive, J is negative, and G is positive. So I'll say multiple choice. Which of the following has a negative slope? And I chose G, I,
MJ.
and J, and I can erase D. I just backspace out of it. And I come to the tools and I mark which one has the negative slope, which is J. And then I go to the next question. I insert a question. And then you say,
Whatever.
so you guys have 3 questions to come up with. As soon as you come up with one, type it in.
Type it on here.
Let's
That's
do.
all.
up there. I got true or false.
Let's ask what Ski says on his video.
Okay. You can say that. You can say which of the following represents puff puff. And your answer choices could be positive, negative, 0, or undefined.
Wait, you're doing multiple choice?
Oh yeah, you wanted to do that.
No, Kira has multiple choice.
That's open-ended question, ain't it?
Okay.
I can make it and or
Isn't it?
open
Yeah.
ended.
Ain't it?
What?
I'll do explanation or
Written. Said Lord.
They don't knock your nails.
It's okay.
what?
It's okay.
It is. I mean, because you're gonna make those mistakes, and you can make it. Oh, you'll type. You'll leave this blank, and you'll type your answer right here in type suggested response. You'll just pick a card. B. The follow card B has a
Negative.
true or false.
Okay. Does card B have a negative slope?
Or you can say, does card B have a positive slope? And then you answer which whenever you chose, which is.
No, go. You better get started. Go ahead.
Can I leave the
Mm-hmm.
next question for the next person?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she was paying attention.
So you're gonna go insert the top, middle. See it? Right there.
Oh.
Insert question.
Oh, I forgot what I was supposed to say.
What card did you take?
B.
Okay. So
Mm-mm.
first one was right.
I had to capitalize the D.
Uh-huh.
Wait, what?
GE, negative or positive. You can write negative or positive.
Well, how would that be a true or
No,
false?
you have to say a positive.
Like you just make the statement. So you say, does card B have a positive slope? Or don't say does. Just say card B has a positive slope. E.
Do I answer?
Uh-huh. And then not there.
Right here?
Uh-huh. Click on the check. Oh,
Okay.
okay. And let's say you made the mistake of clicking it in here,
Okay.
because it'll show the answer. Look, when you send that, it'll show the answer. So what you'll do is you'll right click, and when I've done that, I was like, oh, I wouldn't trust that. And then clear answer in question, then it'll take that off. Okay, last person, Akira. And that's I don't know, like if you have to be perfect, it's gonna be crazy, because you're gonna misspell words, you're gonna forget periods, when you're typing fast, and you're just gonna do some silly things, and it's okay.
I'll be going crazy.
Yeah. Some students who are real perfectionists, I drive them crazy, because I don't have, if I make something and the lines aren't straight, they're like, oh my gosh, your lines aren't straight, or you didn't put a period, or you put 2 ends, or and doesn't have 2 ends. And it's just creating your classroom culture. Which of the following has an undefined
You're on camera.
Okay. And so.
You haven't filled in the answer choices
How do you fill in the answers right there?
Like, click in there and then backspace.
And type.
Type the letter I was referring to.
Yeah.
Which
graph.
cards? Which cards were you referring to, Jay?
B.
See, like lowercase letters.
Yeah, it's okay. Leave them lowercase. It's okay. Leave them lowercase. And then none of the above. All right. So your correct answer is
Boom.
none of the above. Okay. So you have created your document. And I don't remember if I showed you guys how to send it. So the next day, you created it. They've logged in. If this is what you want to be their warm up, they have their notes. And you're going to be on the documents page. You don't want to have this selected because it's going to show the answer. You always want to put it on the calculator. So the gold arrow sends it and the blue arrow picks it up. So the gold arrow is send to the class. And I'm going to send into those that are logged in. And I don't usually do that. I just take it. It's not going to matter one way or the other. Okay, so let's say, remember, last time Breeze messed up, and if she didn't, it would happen to be in her calculator this time, but what if I didn't get it? Some of the kids aren't gonna get it. And so all you do is you can send it to one student and then just send it, and it won't hinder anybody else's deal. All right. So how do you feel about if you would use this in your class or not?
I think
I
that
like
I would.
it. Besides the troubleshooting,
Yeah,
you can look past it because it's a great group, a classroom group activity.
And this is what they use for whatever reason. They think that this is not a worksheet, but it's just a worksheet in the you're getting, and you're constantly feeding back. There's a lot of things you can do, but sometimes if you're just in there and you just come up with a question, you want to ask it, you can just send one question. This little deal will send one question real quick and pick it up and talk about it right then. You don't have to have everything pre-made. If I come up with something that I want to do, I can just start a poll, create the question, send it out, and get it back. But we'll have another training during the second 6 weeks and see if you guys have any questions.